KSAT 12, the Nightbeat, starts right now.
We begin tonight with a look at your latest local coronavirus numbers breakdown. Bexar County officially surpassing 1,000 deaths today. That's due to one new death and 23 previously unreported deaths happening between June 25th and August 27th. That's according to Metro health officials, who also report 142 new cases of COVID-19 and an additional 1,575 backlogged cases, bringing our all-time total now to 49,915 cases.
And according to numbers on the city's website, 246 patients remain in local hospitals, with 108 in intensive care and 54 on ventilators. Now, since March, more than 40,000 have recovered locally.
In other news, an alarming discovery leads to more questions for residents in a southeast side neighborhood.
San Antonio police say 89-year-old George Holland shot and killed his wife, 82-year-old Janice Holland, in their home last Thursday. The
night team's Stephen Cavazos now with what neighbors and city leaders are saying.
No, not here. They're such a nice, sweet couple.
Christine Graham is still in shock days after a deadly shooting took place in her neighborhood. According to San Antonio police, neighbors discovered 82-year-old Janice Holland dead inside her home off Mendoza Street on Thursday. She had been shot several times. SCPD says her husband, 89-year-old George Holland, pulled the trigger. But Graham finds it hard to believe.
I would not have thought him capable because he's so frail and so withered by age.
A police spokesman tells us the couple both had health issues but have not disclosed what those were. Although a motive has not been released, Holland has been charged with his wife's murder.
We really need to be cautious. We need to let the process unfold.
Judge Monique Diaz is with the Collaborative Commission on Domestic Violence. She says it's too early to determine the reason behind the shooting, but never too early to help a family in need.
What can we as a community do to try to help prevent these types of tragedies in the future?
The judge says that starts with noticing the factors that often lead to violent acts. She says that includes signs of emotional, psychological, or even physical abuse.
Those are all indicators that there may be something greater going on or something worse that could happen in the future.
She says regardless of Holland's motive, his wife's death is a tragedy no family should go through. Tonight, Holland remains here at the Bexar County Jail. His bond is listed at $50,000. And again, Tim, it's still unclear what his motives are. The investigation is still underway. We're live tonight outside the jail. Stephen Cavazos, KSAT 12 News. Tim?
It's not like I used this money just to play with. It was to take care of me while I was going through this pandemic.
He lost his job when COVID-19 forced his company to shut down. So this San Antonio man did what so many Texans have done this year. He applied for and got unemployment benefits. But within months, he got something else from the state, a notice he had to pay a lot of that money back, thousands of dollars, in fact. And he didn't know why. Even worse, he couldn't reach anyone at the Texas Workforce Commission for an explanation. So Kelvin Taylor called the defenders for help. It's tonight's investigation.
What was your reaction when you get that notice from them telling you owe them $4,000?
My first reaction was an initial shock.
Who wouldn't be surprised to find out they owed that much money to the state of Texas after receiving unemployment benefits for 2.5 months? Kelvin Taylor thought he had done everything right when he applied for benefits the day after his company laid him off.
We became unemployed on May 8th. I couldn't file on that day. So the very next day I did.
Taylor applied online and soon learned he would be receiving $506 per week, plus the $600 federal unemployment benefit from the U.S. Department of Labor. In addition, Taylor's company received funding from the Small Business Administration through the CARES Act's Payment Protection Program. The company would pay him his full salary until that money ran out. Taylor got 3 checks and reported it as income to the Texas Workforce Commission.
And then when they stopped, I started reporting zero earnings because I was looking for work. I was still out of work, and they were sending the funds.
Those unemployment payments continued until the end of July, when the Texas Workforce Commission told Taylor his claim was now considered invalid and his benefits were being cut off. Why? The agency said an investigation determined that he was not unemployed on the date he applied for benefits, which made no sense to Taylor until he noticed something. The state record showed he applied on May 3rd. But remember, he just told us he applied on the 9th.
They showed that I applied on May 3rd. And it looks like maybe that's a clerical error. I'm not sure, but I know for a fact that you cannot apply for unemployment if you're still working that day.
So Taylor filed an appeal and tried repeatedly to reach someone at TWC.
I've been trying to call them. No one picks up. No one answers the phone.
Taylor says finally someone from TWC returned his call, an administrative assistant who told him she couldn't help him and that it would be a while before someone could hear his side.
They haven't given me any other information other than someone would contact you within 8 to 14 weeks, and that was it.
So he called us. The defenders reached out to a spokesperson for TWC who said because of privacy laws, they couldn't give us any comment on Taylor's case, but said they would look into it quickly. The next day, Taylor got a call. A review of his case found he was overpaid, but he owed a lot less than $4,000.
Now, they still showed that I owe $500, but I see where that mistake came from, and that was a mistake on my end. So I'm okay with that.
It appears the confusion stems from the PPP loan paychecks Taylor got after being laid off. While he reported the income and didn't expect to be paid unemployment benefits those weeks, there wasn't a way to explain that when he applied.
The first question they asked you, did you physically work? No, but I did earn some money, so I'm reporting it. But at the same time, if you click no, it doesn't give you the option to put the hours in the earnings. So it reports as if you didn't work, so they send you money.
Whatever happened, Taylor hopes the state figures it out soon so others won't have to go through what he had to.
I was just glad that you guys got involved, and, I can breathe a sigh of relief now.
Now, the Texas Workforce Commission told us they do make mistakes, but based on past audits by the Department of Labor, that only happened in just over 4% of cases in 2019. They say their overpayment rate is the 4th lowest in the U.S. and lowest of all the large states. They also say overpayments are unusual and unlikely to happen to most people, with current data showing just 1% being overpaid so far this year. One final note, Kelvin Taylor recently got hired at a new job, and he's happy he won't have to use any of his new paychecks to pay the state back.
Well, despite reports that the popular chicken restaurant Chick-fil-A is being offered a lease in the San Antonio airport, the city says right now it's standing by the council decision made last year not to. The news from the Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton being coined a religious victory, according to news outlets. Well, Devin Clark is live in the newsroom to explain. The city says Paxton's statements are not accurate, Devin?
Well, that is right, Patty. And this is just the latest development in what was a tense conversation involving Chick-fil-A opening up at the airport as part of a concession package. Now, some have called this exclusion discrimination, but others said that it's Chick-fil-A that discriminates. Now, last year in March, the Federal Aviation Administration launched an investigation into the City Council's decision to exclude the faith-based chicken chain after complaints that City Council passed the 6-4 vote because of the company's religious stance on LGBTQ issues. District 1 Councilman Roberto Treviño, who made the motion, later commented that San Antonio is a city full of compassion, and we do not have room in our public facilities for a business with a legacy of anti-LGBTQ behavior. Now, today, during an interview on Fox News, Attorney General Ken Paxton said that Chick-fil-A will now be offered a lease in the San Antonio airport based on the investigation's findings that the First Amendment rights, which guarantee freedom of religion, the Constitution, and the Transportation Department's guidelines were violated. Just moments ago, the city, though, responding to KSAT in a statement that in part reads, quote, "The FAA is not ordered the city of San Antonio to have a Chick-fil-A at its airport. The city maintains that at no point did it discriminate against Chick-fil-A, and any placement of Chick-fil-A at the San Antonio airport is ultimately contingent on Chick-fil-A's continued interest and approval by the city council." Now, the statement goes on to say that Attorney General Ken Paxton's inaccurate statements on this issue are not surprising, given that neither he nor the state of Texas have been involved in the conversations between the city and the FAA. Now, right now, we have that full statement from the city online at KSAT.com, and we do plan to reach out to Attorney General Ken Paxton's office tomorrow for his response. For now, reporting live in the newsroom, Devin Clark, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Devin. Other top stories we're following on this Sunday night. San Antonio police say an argument between a father and son took a violent turn late last night And now that son is recovering in the hospital. Police called out to the Salado Creek Estates in the 800 block of Corrine Drive near Austin Highway around 11:45. Officers on scene told us the two got into an argument at their mobile home, which led to the 55-year-old father stabbing his 40-year-old son in the stomach. At last check, the son was in serious condition. Meanwhile, police say the dad, who hasn't been identified yet, is still on the run tonight.
Also happening overnight, an emergency plane landing at the San Antonio airport. The American Airlines plane safely touched down just before 10:30 last night, shortly after the pilot reported one of the engines was on fire. Fire crews were quickly on the scene to put out the flames. All passengers were able to deplane. No injuries were reported.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center is holding an emergency blood drive starting at 10 a.m. and running through 6 p.m. at Santikos Entertainment, Cibolo, off of I-35. They're looking to have 500 donations in an effort to rebuild the local blood supply. In addition, all blood donations will be tested for antibodies through October 30th. You must make an appointment to donate. You can do that either online or by calling the number on your screen there, 210-731-5590.
Outside with live cam, pretty comfortable. We are in the mid 80s, but it really was fairly pleasant this evening. Hope you got to get out and enjoy it. That after what was a hot afternoon for a lot of us here in San Antonio. Places east of 35, high temperatures today in the mid 90s, up to 95 here in the Alamo City, up to 96 in New Braunfels. Meanwhile, you go farther west, a good bit farther west out to Del Rio, Edwards County and Rock Springs. High temperatures there limited to the 70s and 80s. There was much more cloud cover and rain out well to our west today. That rain to the west of 35 has wrapped up. We've got a couple of lingering showers down closer to the coast, but rain-wise, things will be pretty quiet through the overnight hours. But we do have a chance of rain in the forecast each day this week. But don't get too excited. I'm going to help you plan your week with your full forecast coming up. Patty?
We changed it on you, it's me. No matter how you prefer to get around, transportation is something that affects all of us. It's the topic of the first episode of the new season of KSAT Explains. That episode drops this Thursday. Here's Myra Arthur with a preview.
We're far behind the other major metros of Texas in transportation, particularly in transit.
VIA has been San Antonio's transit agency for more than 40 years, and from the start, funding has been an issue.
Society in general would be better if we spent less on expanding highways and we spent more on options.
Transit affects traffic congestion and commute times, but it's also tied to leveling the playing field for residents in all stretches of our sprawling city.
The opportunity for people to access quality jobs and school and other resources, including groceries, is not the same throughout our city. And that's where transportation comes in.
We're taking a look at what transportation options San Antonio has now, the road we've traveled so far, and where we still need to go to keep us moving. KSAT Explains Transportation in SA.
Still to come on the Nightbeat, 2 Los Angeles sheriff deputies are fighting for their lives after being shot multiple times in an ambush attack last night. The latest on this case and the hunt for the gunman. Plus, a local doctor is leading the charge on a local research for a COVID-19 vaccine. Details on this new clinical trial and how you can participate.
And the rhetoric on the campaign trail heating up after Joe Biden's campaign released an ad using comments the president reportedly said about visiting a World War I cemetery in Europe. Reaction to that next.
With just over 7 weeks into the election, President Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden with 2 very different approaches towards campaigning.
Yes, here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert with the details.
President Trump in Las Vegas Sunday holding his first indoor campaign rally since an event in Tulsa this past June.
He had me standing over the grave and the graves of our fallen heroes from many years ago. It's called disinformation.
The Biden campaign releasing this ad alleging the president called fallen war veterans suckers and losers, remarks the president has repeatedly denied making. Thousands of supporters packing the arena, no social distancing, and very few people wore masks. Earlier in the day, the president hosting a Latinos for Trump roundtable.
We've had tremendous support from the Hispanic Americans on the southern border because they understand the southern border better than anybody.
Joe Biden taking a very different approach, only recently beginning to make public appearances, wearing a mask and practicing social distancing. The Democratic nominee slamming the president, saying Nevadans don't need more bluster from the president and don't need his reckless rallies.
Safety is of the utmost importance to our campaign. That is why Vice President Biden is modeling good behavior.
The president continues to face fallout over his interviews with Bob Woodward, where he admits to downplaying the virus.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't want to create a panic.
Biden promising transparency if he's elected.
I'll take responsibility. I'll acknowledge my mistakes when I make them. And I'll level with the American people.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, Washington.
Warm weekend out there. You go ahead and take over here. I'm blowing.
It was hot out there, Katie, but there's rain chances, right?
That's what I was going to try to say.
Yes. You're going to see rain chances each day this week, and that is good, but that doesn't mean your yard will get rain each day this week. But there should be a little something on radar essentially each day, Monday through Friday. There was some nice rain on radar west of 35 out in our westernmost communities today. That has started to wrap up in and around San Antonio. Some color there on radar. That was the bats leaving their caves for the evening, and a good amount of shower and thunderstorm activity for our eastern and southeasternmost counties late this afternoon and this evening. Goliad, you've got a nice little thunder shower rolling through town. Up in Karnes County as well. No severe weather there, but some nice rainfall that is also starting to wrap up late this evening. 84 at the airport, 82 in New Braunfels. We've got some 70s up in the hill country. Places that it didn't get so hot this afternoon, you're already in the 70s from Del Rio up to Rock Springs. Tonight we'll see our temperatures drop down for the most part into the low to mid 70s. 74 here in San Antonio. Del Rio, you'll see your temperature drop down closer to 70 degrees overnight tonight. Some mid to upper 60s in the hill country. I do think we'll carry more cloud cover west and south of San Antonio here in town. Partly cloudy skies through the start of the day tomorrow. And overall, there will be more cloud cover tomorrow down to the south and off to the west once again. But I do think everyone will notice some additional clouds tomorrow, especially some mid and high level clouds rolling in. And that should trim a few degrees off our high temperatures tomorrow. So mid 90s today, will go closer to 90 tomorrow afternoon here in San Antonio with another slim chance of rain. So do you want to lay out the work week for you? No front in the forecast this week. It was this time last weekend that we were talking about the potential for that front that finally did make it to us on Thursday, but I don't have any fronts in the forecast for you this week, so things will be staying warm. As I mentioned, daily rain chances, but the rain is not going to be as widespread as what we'd like. However, some rain on radar each day, so your yard could see a little bit of rain this week. And as far as the tropics go, we've got Sally. That is a big threat for portions of the Gulf Coast as we get into the next couple of days. It is very busy out there in the Atlantic Basin. We call this the fruit bowl because you've got your colors here of yellow, orange, and red. Several named systems, but the name system that's closest to home, that is Tropical Storm Sally. Now really starting to intensify tonight off the west coast of Florida. So I want you to see here in this satellite loop, all these bursts of brighter red that come up. That is intense convection developing, and that is a sign that Sally is starting to strengthen. Still at tropical storm status, but in this little stretch of very warm Gulf water, Sally is expected to intensify to Category 1 hurricane status sometime tomorrow, making landfall in South Louisiana, South Mississippi, the Louisiana and Mississippi Gulf Coast there, east of New Orleans sometime on Tuesday as a Category 1 hurricane, and then moving farther inland into portions of the Deep South. Look at the estimated rainfall here with Sally as it moves inland. Parts of South Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and even the Florida Panhandle there. Some spots looking at more than 7 inches of rain, but these brighter yellow colors here, that's more than 10 inches of rain, more than a foot of rain across some portions of South Louisiana. So that'll be a huge rainmaker. Flooding definitely looks like a big issue as Sally moves inland over the next couple of days. And of course, we'll keep you updated here at home as far as rainfall goes through this week. We're in these green colors, which means generally less than a quarter inch of rain, in a lot of spots probably closer to a 1/10 of an inch of rain. So that's why, even though you see the rain chances each day this week, it's not going to be terribly widespread. Hit or miss showers and storms most days as we get into this work week. 10% chance of a stray shower tonight. It's not likely. Temperatures will start off in the mid 70s tomorrow morning, up to 90 tomorrow afternoon with a 20% chance of rain. Looks like our best day this week for rain will end up being Thursday with a scattering of showers and storms. Guys.
We'll look forward to it. Yeah. More rain. Yard will like it. We'll be back with a preview of Instant Replay right after this. The Dallas Cowboys making their 2020 debut on Sunday Night Football tonight in Los Angeles. With more on that and what's on Instant Replay, let's check in with our Greg Zimmett.
Thanks, Tim. Should have gone for the field goal in the fourth quarter that early. And six-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady makes his own debut with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, coming up tonight on a brand new edition of Instant Replay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just ready to go out there and display everything that we've been working on. A lot of excitement, obviously, for what this offense is going to be and what we can be.
Not only did the Cowboys make their 2020 debut tonight in the Rams' brand new SoFi Stadium, it's Mike McCarthy's first game as the Cowboys' new head coach. How did Dallas do to wrap up their first full Sunday of NFL action? We will show you. And Tom Brady suits up for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers today for the very first time as their new starting quarterback after winning 6 Super Bowls in the New England Patriots. How did he do against the Saints? We will show you that as well.
Mahomes on the move, throws, caught, Hill, touchdown.
The Houston Texans had some work to do after giving up 31 unanswered points to the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs to kick off the 2020 season on Thursday in their 34-20 loss. Can they get their act together in time for their home opener 1 week from today against Baltimore? And who had the best pass, best catch, and best run? We will show you after week 3 of the high school football season and the best of big game coverage and an all-new sub-5A 12 top 12 with a new #1 team. All that plus the UTSA Roadrunners with a big double overtime win on the road for their new head coach. And how will the Dallas Cowboys finish their regular season tonight? You decide. Instant Replay is live, and it's after the Nightbeat.
Football is back, and so is all the frustration that comes with it.
Different coach, same result.
Yeah, I'm feeling you. Thanks, Greg.
Sure.
We'll continue with the Nightbeat right after this.
2 Los Angeles sheriff's deputies fighting for their lives after being shot multiple times Saturday night. The sheriff's department now offering a $100,000 reward for any information that leads to the arrest and conviction of the suspect. ABC News' Soren Shah tells us what happened.
Valley County Sheriff's Department releasing disturbing surveillance video that captured the ambush-style attack on 2 deputies looking for help in identifying the man dressed in black who walked up to the deputy's vehicle near the Compton Metro station, then fired a gun multiple times before running away.
He acted as if he was going to walk past the car, and then he made a left turn directly toward the car, raised a pistol, and fired several rounds inside of the vehicle, striking both of the sheriff's deputies.
The deputies, a 31-year-old mother of a 6-year-old and a 24-year-old man sworn in only 14 months ago, were able to radio in for help after being shot.
Stand by for a GSW, be a deputy involved at the blue line.
Hours later, several demonstrators blocking the emergency room entrance and exit.
They were saying death to the police, kill the police, and they were using all type of curse words and derogatory terms about the police.
Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti saying there's no place in civilized society for someone to shoot law enforcement officers.
I won't ever let a couple voices that not only are uncalled for, but it's abhorrent to say something like that when we have 2 deputies who are sheriff deputies in grave condition.
The sheriff saying his department is committed to keeping the community safe.
Our job does not get any easier because people don't like law enforcement. It's going to be a challenge day after day. However, the sheriff's department will never be deterred.
California's Governor Gavin Newsom writing, the perpetrator must quickly be brought to justice. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Also at the scene outside that Los Angeles hospital where those deputies are being treated, a reporter was arrested early this morning. The reporter, who was later identified as KPCC radio reporter Josie Wong, is accused of ignoring commands to stay back as police arrested a protester who they say violated dispersal orders. Police say Wong failed to identify herself as press and did not have proper press credentials. She has since been released from a county jail.
In New Jersey overnight, 2 people were killed, several others injured during a shooting near the Rutgers University campus. That incident happened at a house reportedly being used as off-campus housing for the school. Police say several shots were fired by an unknown number of gunmen. Upon arrival, officers found 8 people suffering from gunshot wounds. The shooting victims were taken to various hospitals in the area, where 2 were later pronounced dead. Investigators say the shooting is not connected to the university or any of its students.
San Antonio now one of just a handful of U.S. cities contributing to the research that could bring the world a COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah, a local endocrinologist is fighting to bring that study here, hoping the participants will be culturally representative of South Texas and the nation in general.
The doctor tells Courtney Friedman he's hoping Latinos, African Americans, and the elderly people will join in the study.
It's government funded. It's part of Operation Warp Speed to find a COVID-19 vaccine, and it's now happening right here in San Antonio.
We're going to test a vaccine, which in earlier trials that have been published, it looks really good, the earlier trials. It's God willing, it's going to be the real deal. Potentially, it's going to be a game changer, and we'll all get our lives back, which we're all looking forward to. Some people will get the placebo. Some people will not.
Dr. Sherwin Schwartz has worked with diabetics in San Antonio for over 40 years and is now the endocrine consultant for the Evolution Research Group.
We'll take any ethnic group in, of course, but I really want to take the people who've been hurt the most by this disease.
Dr. Schwartz says Bexar County is 61% Latino, of which 19% are over 55. He says 38% are obese. That's more than any other major county in Texas. But Dr. Schwartz wants participants from all over South Texas.
Cameron and Hidalgo counties are being hurt more than San Antonio even. Double to triple amount.
To participate, you can have COVID antibodies, but can't be currently infected. You can also have health issues as long as they're being managed.
Stable with diabetes, with heart disease, cancer, as long as they're stable. And I want to help more people, and I want San Antonio to be part of the cure.
To participate in the study, you have to be older than 18, and you will be compensated for your time and transportation. If you're interested in participating in the study or you have any questions, call the number on your screen, 210-791-0911. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Meanwhile, we could soon learn if a COVID-19 vaccine being developed by drug maker Pfizer is effective. The company's CEO says there's a good chance the company will know if that vaccine works by the end of October. Pfizer has already started manufacturing the vaccine, and hundreds of thousands of doses have already been made.
In our base case, we have quite a good chance, more than 60%, that we will know if the product works or not by the end of October.
When asked whether people would have to wait until 2021 to actually get that vaccine, he said he didn't know how long it would take for regulators to approve it. As for who gets the vaccine, he says health authorities would decide.
After an early taste of fall late last week, this weekend felt more like summer once again with temperatures back in the 90s. We're sitting in the mid-80s now. It's not too unpleasant out there this evening, and we have a lot of sunshine here in San Antonio. There was some rain west and east of 35 today, but at the airport, no rain today. Morning low of 75 up to 95 this afternoon. Hey, so far for the month of September, we are not doing too bad as far as rainfall is concerned. At the airport, nearly 2.5 inches of rain, and so far through the month, that puts us a little bit more than an inch above average. Pretty good. Now, on the year, we're approaching 17.5 inches of rain, but that's still almost 5 inches below average for this point through the year. So we still have some ground to make up, some very dry earth out there, and we do have some rain chances coming up over the next few days. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a bit. Patty.
Well, scammers are staying active even amid the pandemic. Coming up next, why that work from home job you found online might actually be too good to be true.
Never miss a story. Watch live or when you want. San Antonio's latest news and weather, streaming free on KSAT TV.
A warning tonight for job hunters. A lot of folks are desperately looking for a paycheck, and con artists know this. They're posting fake job listings for work from home gigs on social media. One Floresville woman looking to supplement her family's income thought she was applying for a data entry position, but as 12 on your side, Marilyn Moritz explains what she got were lies.
$20 an hour, flexible hours, work from anywhere. This job posting on a neighborhood Facebook group seemed just what Michelle Felix had been searching for.
You know, this year has been pretty hard for everybody, me included. You know, I thought, why not just give it a shot? Because I'm pretty fast at typing. I can do data entry, no problem.
The interview took place on a messaging app called Telegram.
His icon had the Live Ops logo in it.
Live Ops, as their real website shows, is an established work-from-home business, a cloud call center. The interview questions were basic and odd, like, do you have Cash App and a printer?
He said, well, congratulations, you've got the job. And I thought that was the easiest interview ever.
They would send her an Apple laptop and she'd need to buy software.
And before any employment agreement was signed, he sent me a PDF document of a check for $2,500.
She was to print and deposit it using her bank's mobile app and promptly buy the software as instructed. But she noticed the name on the check, LiveOps Company, did not match the website, LiveOps Inc.
He started getting a little more pushy whenever I wouldn't respond right away. He'd be like, can you handle this? Do you understand?
She understood all right that this job was not what it seemed. The check, a fake. The issuing bank couldn't verify it. We contacted the real LiveOps, who said this sounded like someone fraudulently using a version of their name to take advantage. As for Michelle, she nixed the job, but is making it her business to warn others.
And people are desperate to work right now, and to take advantage of that is...
Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
When applying for a work-from-home job, the Federal Trade Commission says be wary of interviews with someone you cannot see and request to receive or send money, especially before you do any work. Stick with us. Meteorologist Katie Blake has a look back at Hurricane Ike, which made landfall 12 years ago today.
You know, until Patty read that tease going into here about 12 years ago, Hurricane Ike hit, I had no idea what I was doing 12 years ago, but now I know exactly what I was doing. I was in the middle of that storm.
You went to cover that?
Yep.
Wow.
Rode it out in Pasadena and then tried to make it over to Galveston the next day, and even talked to a young man who had driven all the way from Atlanta to try to get to his mom who stayed on the island, and he had scuba gear and he was going to swim to try to get there to check out his mom. He actually ended up finding her. She was fine.
Well, that's great. Wow.
But now I know what I was doing
What
12
a
years
story.
ago.
Goodness, yeah. 12 years ago, I think I was a sophomore in high school, I think. But I had already really liked the weather, so it was interesting to growing up in the Houston area to live through Ike. Obviously, one of the costliest storms in history. I've got some specific numbers for you. So Ike originated as a wave off the coast of Africa in late August, but gained hurricane status by early September 3rd to 4th. This was one of those storms that came all the way across the Atlantic. We just watched it as it barreled toward the Caribbean, moved over Cuba on September 8th, and then into the Gulf of Mexico and toward the Houston and Galveston areas, making landfall in the 2 a.m. hour on Galveston Island on September 13th, 2008. Ike was the strongest storm of the 2008 hurricane season, with a pressure below 940 millibars at the time of landfall. Ike responsible for 195 deaths across not just the U.S., 112 deaths in the U.S. from Texas all the way up to portions of Arkansas, but also deaths in Cuba as it moved onshore there, and in Haiti as well. Ike at this time is the 7th costliest hurricane on record in the United States, with a cost of $36.9 billion. So that was 12 years ago today, Hurricane Ike. And look what we've got going out in the Atlantic Basin tonight. This is busy season as far as the tropics are concerned, and we've got a lot going on here. We've got Hurricane Paulette, Category 2 hurricane there, is affecting Bermuda tonight, but then we'll move out into the northern Atlantic Ocean there. We've got Tropical Depression Renee. Renee does not have a lot of gusto left. It's expected to fizzle out as we get into the day tomorrow. Tropical Depression 20 also moving into the open Atlantic. Those X's you see there, those are areas of potential development that the Hurricane Center is watching. One has low odds of development. The other, the red X there, has high odds of development over the next 2 to 5 days. And then a little bit closer to home, we've got Sally and another area with low odds of development over the next couple of days. But Tropical Depression 20, if it takes a name, which it is expected to, it would be Teddy. We've only got 3 names left on our list for this season: Teddy, Vicky, and Wilfred. After that, we'll move to the Greek alphabet. So Alpha, Beta, Gamma. I'm going to have to refresh myself on all the Greek alphabet there. But yes, if we run out of names, we go to the Greek alphabet. And that did happen back in 2005. Latest on Tropical Storm Sally. Yes, still a tropical storm. But looking at the satellite imagery here, and we kind of talked about this last half hour, these bright red bursts that you see there, those are intense new areas of convection, areas of shower and thunderstorm activity. And when you see that, that's a really good sign that that tropical system is starting to gain some strength. So Sally expected to become a Category 1 hurricane before making landfall somewhere in deep southeastern Louisiana, more than likely somewhere along the Mississippi Gulf Coast near Biloxi sometime on Tuesday. They're looking at major effects there in terms of storm surge, but also with some flooding, rainfall. And here was the names list that should have been swapped to position there in my graphics. But Sally will certainly be a big issue for the central Gulf Coast states, and we'll be keeping you updated over the next couple of days. Meanwhile, here at home, pretty nice out there this evening. We've got an air temperature in the 80s. Dew point is in the 60s. That's down to the mid 60s, so that's keeping it from feeling overly humid out there. Tonight, 70 in Rock Springs, 79 in Kerrville, 83 in Pleasanton. Everyone's got a northerly component to their wind, so that is keeping our dew point numbers from being too elevated. It's keeping a bit of that mugginess out of the air, but winds are generally light, just about 5 to 10 miles per hour. We've still got additional cloud cover down to the southeast of San Antonio and also off to the west where there were more clouds around today. The showers and storms from earlier this afternoon are really starting to fizzle out. They've moved out of B County down toward Corpus, and generally speaking tonight, things should be pretty quiet. Partly to mostly cloudy skies. I can't rule out a stray shower, but it is not likely. Looking ahead to your Monday, 90 your forecast high temperature with a 20% chance of a shower or storm, mainly during the second half of the day. So for the next couple of days, we're going to keep our rain chances pretty isolated. We've got a little bit of lift, a little bit of moisture, but things will be pretty hit or miss the next couple of days. As we get into Thursday, that's when a better piece of upper level lift moves in. That'll give us our best chance of rain this week. Looks to be Thursday with a scattering of some showers and storms. Guys.
Looks good. Thank you, Katie. More movie theaters are opening up and the box office numbers are starting to follow suit. We'll have a look at your weekend box office report next.
Bill and Ted, what have you got to say for yourselves?
Be excellent to each other.
We begin with Bill and Ted Face the Music. The long-awaited third film about the goofy BFFs landed in 5th place, earning $275,000.
There are broken people out there like me, people who need to let go and move on.
The Broken Hearts Gallery debuted in 4th place. The romantic comedy began its run with a $1.1 million weekend.
I don't have anything to apologize for. Can you go, please?
Russell Crowe and Unhinged sped off with $1.5 million to remain in 3rd place.
All of you are dangerous. That's why you're here.
Another 2nd place finish for The New Mutants. The X-Men spin-off took in $2.1 million in its 3rd weekend in theaters.
That test you passed? Not everybody does. Welcome to the afterlife.
Tenet took the top spot again. The time-twisting thriller made $6.7 million in its sophomore weekend, giving it nearly $30 million overall in North America and crossing $200 million worldwide. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
The UTSA Roadrunners score a big double overtime victory on the road for their new head coach.
And the Texas Longhorn move into the top 10 in the nation after their 2020 debut in Austin last night. With more on what's on instant replay, let's head over to Greg Simmons.
A career night for young Sam Ehlinger, their starting quarterback, and San Antonio FC suffers their first loss of the season. Coming up tonight on a brand new edition of Instant Replay.
It's got to start somewhere, and it starts now for Sam Ehlinger and the Texas Longhorns.
The Texas Longhorns kicked off their 2020 season, albeit a little late, by running over UTEP 59-3. That included a 78-yard touchdown pass by Sam Ehlinger on the first play of the game, part of his career performance in the first half by throwing 5 touchdowns. As a result, Longhorns are now ranked number 9 in the nation.
Kick is up, and it is good. A game that had a crazy start has a crazy ending.
And the UTSA Roadrunners score an emotional 51-48 victory on the road on a last-second 29-yard field goal in double overtime against Texas State, a game that saw 2 former San Antonio area high school quarterbacks face off, and Frank Harris for UTSA and Tyler Vitt for the Bobcats. The game also included this 81-yard interception return by Rashad Wisdom late in the fourth quarter, who just lost his 17-year-old brother Bryce to cancer. All that plus, Dallas makes their debut tonight and no-hitter in Major League Baseball. Instant replay is live, and it's next. And yes, we're going to ask Mike McCarthy why he didn't kick the field goal.
I know you're upset, but Malcolm Brown, I hear, had a really good night.
A career night for him. Remember, he's taking over for Todd Gurley, and two young men from San Antonio starred in that game for the Rams.
So we'll hear more about that.
You get it.
Thank you, Greg.
We'll be right back.